Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another session of biology for grade 10 with Swiflearn. So, before moving any further, I would like to introduce you to Swiflearn, what exactly Swiflearn is. So, Swiflearn is India's most sincere learning destination from classes 3 to 10. Okay, so we give you 100% live interactive classes. We have personalized attention batches that is not max to more than 6 students. Okay, so we take 6 students at a time so that we can give a personalized attention to each one of you. A dedicated academic mentor and a team to track and work on students' progress is being assigned to you, and that will help you monitor how you are progressing with us. Okay, and we cover syllabus as per the school exam schedule and also handle custom request. Like you might have some exams, you want to prepare a little bit more, we're always there to help you out with that. Moving further, so there are few features that the key features of Swiflearn, that is, we have a detailed progress report for you after every exam that you give with us or every assignment that you submit, right? So Swiflearn Academic Test Series is there to help you out. We take ultimate practice test and subjective test for school examinations, yeah? So now only right now, today itself, you can book a free trial class for yourself and later on register yourself with Swiflearn. So if you have not yet subscribed the YouTube channel for Swiflearn, please do that. Press the bell icon and never miss any update of a live session. Moving further, so in grade 10, we have this very interesting chapter that we're going to cover today that is known as Heredity and Evolution. So today is the part one of the session. So in today's session, we will learn about heredity. After that, we are going to learn about variation, in how this variation happens when the offspring goes, how the variation happens. We're going to learn about that. We will learn about a very interesting term known as chromosomes. What exactly chromosomes are and how do they play that important role, right? Then we are going to learn about genetic terms, what all genetic terms are related, what we need to know before moving any further. And then we at the end of the session we will learn about how when a male or a female is born, how exactly it is determined that what sex of that offspring is going to be. At the end we are going to cover that thing. Let's begin. So starting the class, let's try to answer some very simple questions. So why do you think there is a resemblance between the members of the family? Is there something in us or within our families why we all resemble each other? Right? If you have a sister or you have a brother, you resemble them, right? Even we resemble to our parents and even sometimes to our grandparents too. How is this exactly happening? And if we are having like some kind of resemblance or something we are getting from our parents, right? So why not we look exactly like our same with the parents? Why not exactly like our grandparents? Or why not exactly to my sister or my brother? Right? So why is this things happening around us? So we let us explore and read why exactly this is happening. Look at this picture right here in front of you. You can see a cute little, like a doggy over here, and then you can see so many puppies, right? And you can see how they appear and what all the resemblance are. What are the different resemblance that we can see? Resemblance means firstly how similar they look, right? Or maybe something in their in maybe they have a difference, right? So can you see and observe this little picture? And now putting these questions in our mind, like why exist this exactly things are happening on this way? Why exactly we do not look entirely different from our parents, or why we look like little similar to our parents? Putting these questions in our mind, let us try to answer these questions by going through today's session. So you may have noticed that all offsprings look like their parents, right? Parents and children have similar characteristics. The characteristics are passed on the next generation with the help of the factor called genes. It's absolutely. So what do we get from our parents? We get the genes from our parents, isn't it? Have you ever thought why, how did this happens, like why these and how these genes are transferred from one generation to the other, and to the ours to the next, and next to the next, how these things are being passed on? Yeah. So these are the things, these things are being passed on through, like from their parents to the offsprings by our DNA. You must have heard about the term DNA, right? You must have always thought, with what exactly is this and how is this working, isn't it? So you all must be knowing that we all are like built up of cells, right? So inside every cell there's a nucleus, isn't it? And what a nucleus is also known as, nucleus is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. That means it must be containing something that is very essential, isn't it? So that's why it's known as the powerhouse of the cell also. Now, so the nucleus of every cell has a chromosome inside it. And what exactly in this chromosome is, there is a tele- telomere, and there inside the telomere is your DNA that is being transferred, that are the genes that you get from your parents, are being transferred from one generation to the other. The passing down of traits from in the form of genes from parents to their offsprings are called heredity, isn't it? We sometimes hear, okay, this disease is kind of like, I got sugar because my parents got sugar, they got sugar as a disease because their parents, like there are even some diseases we get in our heredity, isn't it? So there are many things we get: our skin color, our hair color, our eyes colors, even few sometimes our features, isn't it? And maybe if I am tall or I'm short, like where are we getting these genes from? And what is this process known as? This is known as heredity. Like so our generations herediting these kind of conditions into us, isn't it? So like if you can see right here in this diagram, in this particular diagram, so your pair, like the male and the female standing over here, they got their genes from their parent side, the male got it from his parent side, and their offsprings have their genes as well, right? One or the other gene is being transferred. Maybe there are some that are taking part in their resemblance, some are taking part into their how they look, or maybe their hair. So there are many kind of resemblance that come over there. Moving further, I bet you must be wondering, if living things inherit their genes from their parents, then why don't they look exactly like their parents, right? This we just discussed in the beginning also, that if we are getting genes from our parents, why not we exactly look like our parents? Why the siblings look different if they get their genes from the same parents, isn't it? We, like me and my sister or my brother, we all are getting our genes from the same set of parents. Then why don't we look exactly same? Why? It's because of the variation. Variation of what? Variation of the things, the variation of the genes. That is which one is more prominent, which one trait has come to us more prominently, maybe from the mother or maybe from the father, right? Male or female, which one was more dominant into us, right? So that's how the variation happens. Let's read it in more detail then. Yeah, variation is the difference in the genes between individuals or group of individuals. The features which is inherited is called characters. Okay, so the features that we have, like the eyes or something like skin tone or something, they're known as characters. The alternative form of a character is called a trait. Okay, so if we use a term character or a trait, they mark the same word over here. Okay, now the study of heredity and variation is called genetics. So if somebody or if some person is doing a research or reading about these variation, it is known as genetics, if somebody is researching about that thing. Okay, Now, let us learn about how these variations happen. Okay, so I'll read it out later on. First, let us look at this diagram carefully, and this is very, very interesting. If you look at this one, so on the top will give you like, if this, the person that is right there on the top, give like generated two offsprings, that are the first one on the left and the other one on the right. These are the two offsprings of the one that is on the top. Then what all characteristics or what all traits they have inherited? They inherited the center part, the left and the right, isn't it? But if you see there, and even if you can see, the offspring have same kind of the top, but if you can see, the bottom are not the same, right? So they have something of their own, and some things these two offsprings have got from the parent right here. Later on, if you can see, when this from this as a parent body, there are two more offsprings that generated. So then they also have some of the common features with the parent, but they have their own traits as well. Similarly here, if this parent body generated two more offsprings, they have the similarities as well, dissimilarities as well. You cannot find anybody exactly similar to the other one here, isn't it? Observe it carefully and you will find that nothing is exactly same to each other. So let's read it out. In the given figure, the original organism at the top who will give rise to, say, two individuals similar in the body design but with subtle difference. Like subtle means a little difference. Each of them in turn will give rise to two individuals in the next generation. Each of four new individuals on the bottom row will be different from each other, while some other of these differences will be unique. Others will be inherited from their respective parents who were different from each other, isn't it? So that's how we have the variations. Now, what types of variation we have? We have a somatic variation and we have a gametic variation. What exactly somatic means? It occurs in the somatic cells of the body. Okay, they are not inherited, so known as acquired traits. If you just I would say go and revise the picture that we saw right now. Here, if you see, they are not exactly same. There were some traits they got from the parent, but there are some traits they have got on their own, like a red head over here. There was not here. So they are known as somatic variation that they created on their own. On the other hand, the gametic variation, it occurs in the germ cells of the body. They are inherited and thus known as inherit traits. Like the body structure is kind of same, even the half of the body color is exactly same. So that are the gametic variations. Now, do you think variation is important? Do you think variation is important? What will happen if we have if we don't have any variation in the body structure or in the color or in the other things? What will happen? So variation during the reproduction is important because it is necessary for survival, right? If we see around ourselves every day, everything around us is changing, maybe because of pollution, maybe because of other factors that are there around the surroundings of the environment, right? Everything is changed. Let's read why. Let's read this example. So for example, if the temperature of the earth increases suddenly, then most of the bacterial livings on earth would vanish. Only a few bacteria variants which can tolerate heat have better chances of survival in a heat wave in comparison to non-variant bacteria having no capacity to tolerate heat waves. If these variants were not there, then the entire species of bacteria would have been destroyed. Therefore, variation becomes very, very important for survival. Yeah. What do genes have in common? This is a very, very fun fact. What do these things have in common? A genes and a gene. They both come in pairs. Okay. So when we talk about genes, we have pairs, and same goes with your jeans, right? That you wear. So that also comes in pair. The two legs, that's why it's called a pair of jeans, isn't it? So all genes come in pair, just like shoes. But unlike shoes, each gene in a pair can be different. One might be a boot while the other a heel. Okay, the alternative form of gene is called alleles or allomorphic genes. For example, the gene for the height has two alleles, the tall or the short. Now, father and mother each have two genes for every trait, but they pass on only one to their offsprings. Okay, so right now, like every male or every female have two different kinds of genes present in them. But when they create a offspring, when they create an offspring that has, they do not carry like both the traits of the female and both the traits of the male. No, they carry one trait from the male and one from the female. That is how now the offspring itself has two genes into it, isn't it? Now so they get one from mother, from one from father, and two for an offspring are more than enough to be generated into another like unique individual. The alternative form of genes is called an alleles or allomorphic genes. Moving further, where are genes found in our cells? Remember, where are these found? Genes are found on the structure called chromosome. Chromosomes are long, thin, thread like structures made from coiled molecules of DNA. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat it because this is a very, very important term. You need to know what exactly a chromosome is. A chromosomes are a thread like thin structures made from coiled molecules of DNA. Each chromosome contains many genes and they are unit of heredity, right? I'm sorry, let's move here back. Okay, so each chromosome contains many genes and they are the unit of heredity. Genes control the expression of characteristics. Example, height. Example, organisms color, eye color, or their fur color. If you're not just talking about here humans, we can talk about animals, we can talk about plants. Everything over here has something or the other. They are promoting their genes from one to the other generation. It's not just about having in humans. Same goes in plants, same goes in animals as well. Moving further, chromosomes, so they are the carriers of unit of heredity. If we are not transferring chromosomes, that means we are not getting any characteristics or the heredity that we are getting from our the parent that we have above, right? They are visible only at a time of cell division. The chromosome number is constant for the individual of a species. Examples, human have 46 chromosome and some insects have more than 1,000 chromosomes in them. Now, they always exist in pairs. In humans, 46 chromosomes. So that means how many pairs? 46 chromosomes, that means 23 pairs. The two chromosomes of a pair are similar in size and shape. They are called as homologous chromosomes. What are they known as? They are known as homologous chromosomes. A pair of corresponding chromosomes or the same shape and size one from each parent are called homologous chromosomes. If I can just read it out to you again, it says that a pair of corresponding chromosomes of the same shape and size and one from each parent are called homologous chromosomes. So that means you're getting one from the parent, one from each, like one from male and one from your female, and they combine and they are known as homologous chromosomes. Now, have you ever come across a picture of many chromosomes present together? Do you know what is it called and how it's taken? Let us see, let us read it together how exactly these things happen. Now, if you have not seen it, let us see this together. So the answer to the first question, like, have you ever come across a picture of many chromosomes present together? So we are going to see it together right now. Do you know what is it called? It is called as karyotype, the arrangement of chromosomes according to their shape and size on a chart. Okay, so this is known as a human karyotype. I hope I'm clear. So if you can see here, they are exactly chromosomes are paired when they find an exact match to each other. Okay, so if you can see, the shape and the size of every pair here are similar to each other. And these are the different types of chromosomes that are present. And if you can see, there are 22 pairs exactly same, or now then the person, the male or the female, will have this one, the last one as a different. They will have XX or an XY. They cannot have both here. Okay, so that is the thing that helps to specify the sex of the offspring, that it's going to be a male or it's going to be a female. Yeah. Let's read it a little bit more. Do you know how many types of chromosomes are there? Many animals, including humans, have two types of chromosomes: autosomes and sex chromosomes. So autosomes were the ones that have exactly same kind of pairs, and the sex chromosomes were at the end the last pair, that was XX or an XY. Okay, keep it in mind. Sex chromosomes are those that are needed for determination a sex, the male or female of an individual. Autosomes are all the rest of the chromosomes that are not needed for sex determination. Let's go back to this diagram and you can now relate it a little bit more. I explained it earlier as well. So here, if you see, these are all the chromosomes, but these the ones till 22, 1 to 22, do not determine which sex the male or the female is going to have going to have as an offspring, but the last pair that decides if it's going to be a male or a female, an XX or an XY. Okay. Next. So do you know how many sets of autosomes and sex chromosomes are present in the humans? Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, isn't it? Out of 23, 22 pairs are autosomes and only one pair in the sex chromosome, which actively takes part in the process of sex determination. So let's see it on a broader scale. So 1 to 22 do not participate while for the male or the female discretion. Only here the X and the Y, they determine that what is going to be the offspring. It's going to be a male or it's going to be an or a female. So you must have seen the birth like of a baby around you, isn't it? People congratulate to the couple and often ask if it's a baby girl or a baby boy, isn't it? Right? So how exactly this baby girl or a baby boy is happening? So sex determination is a result of the sex chromosomes as a person has normally. Each person has two sex chromosomes. One is passed down from the female and other from the male. A woman or a female has two X chromosomes. Okay, so always remember, like if you can right now see in the diagram as well, the female has both the X chromosomes. On the other hand, the male has an X and a Y chromosome. Okay, now the baby always inherit an X from the mother. Okay, so baby is always going to get an X chromosome from the mother and Y from the father, right? So here it depends upon if the X from the male and the X from the female combines, then it's going to be a female. But if a Y and a X combine, it's going to be a male. Let's read it and let's understand it through a diagram. So here is a female and here is a male. So a female has both X chromosomes. On the other hand, a male has two different kinds of chromosome, that is X and Y. So of course, if you can see the red part, a female is always passing on, and if you can see by the red arrows, X and X and another X and another X, right? But what if from the male part, the X joins in? So that means an offspring of a girl is going to form. If there was an X from the female and Y joins from the male, it's going to be a boy. If an X from a female and an X from the male comes in, of course, a girl, and then X again from the female and Y again from the male, then again a boy will be form. So this is how the chromosomes work together to determine if a girl is going to be born or a boy is going to be born, or a female or a male is going to come. Now, that was about the sex determination. Now, basic genetic terms. Let us read about these terms. Okay, these terms will help you now read about how we inherit the different genes, how we represent, or how we get, how we look alike to each other. What are the things and how exactly things happen, how exactly the traits dominate, how exactly I am looking more similar to my dad rather than my mom, or my sibling, my brother or my sister is more similar to my mother rather than the father, how exactly these things are happening. So for that thing we have two types of condition. There is homozygous condition and then the other one is heterozygous condition. An individual may inherit two identical alleles from their parents. Okay, so if they are going to inherit two identical alleles from their parent, then it is known as the double T. Okay, so that is both capitals or both the small t. Okay, now heterozygous condition, an individual may inherit two different alleles from their parent, right? So maybe a T from one, the dominant T, the capital one, and the indominant one, and they both combine and you formulate as a human. When two different alleles are present, they interact there in a specific way. Okay, so what exactly the dominant trait are? So dominant, as the word represent itself, dominant means strong. The gene which decides the appearance of an organism, even in the presence of an alternative gene, this is expressed in both homozygous and heterozygous conditions. It is donated using the capital letters tall, and if you would know the word TT, it is also known as tall. And recessive traits, the genes which decide the appearance of an organism only in the presence of another identical gene, this is not expressed in both the condition, is called a recessive trait. It is denoted using the small letter short t and t. Okay, moving further, now what is a genotype? The genes present in the DNA or an organism is a genotype. A pair of letters are used to represent a genotype. For one particular trait, a genotypes are inherited, for example, TT or TT for short, etc. There are always two letters in a genotype because as a result of sexual reproduction, one code for the trait and comes from the male and the other comes from the female. So every offspring get two codes, that is two letters. Therefore, there will be three possible genotypes. For example, for the trait height of an organism, the genotype will be TT, both the capital, that is tall, or the TT or TT, that is for the short. If they have both the capital, that means tall, both the short, both are small letters, then this is donated for short. Now, phenotypes, the observable character in an organism. Example, the hair that you can, the observable characteristic, that means that you can see. For example, the hair color, the eye color, the coat color, the shape of the leaf, all of these things, these coming from the genotype codes for phenotypes. Now, let us understand how genotypes and phenotypes are inherited. Okay, let's do it with an example. What will be the genotype and the phenotype of an offspring if the mother has blonde hair? That is, the mother has both the short HH, that means both of them are small, that means short, and the father has black hair, that is tall. Talls mean they are more prominent rather than the female one. So if you can see over here, there was father was black and the mother was blonde. On the other hand, color of the hair black is more prominent than H, that is short. The parent blonde, that is the mother. The father, the genotype H and H, right, has to come. So the phenotype, the offspring will have hair as H in dominant. Why? Can you see? Because H, the black, the one that the father has, was more dominant. It was tall, and on the other hand, the blonde was a short. So So that means that was what was more strong over here, the dominant one, the tall one. Hence the offspring will have black hair, as H is more dominant, right? Now, check your learning. What will be the genotype and the phenotype of an offspring if the mother has black hair, that is HH, and the father has black hair, again HH? So, which will be more dominant over here? Any guesses? So here there will be four possible options that can take place, as the genes are transmitted in form of pairs, right? So there can be four conditions, though the main difference will be in the genotype, not in the phenotype. Why? Because if you can see, both of them has a short thing, and both of them, that means both of them are having the black hair. So here phenotype cannot be the phenotype, that is what we can see, right? So it's going to be the same, that is black, but maybe internally it can be a little difference, right? There can be a difference that can be in the genotype, but there cannot be a difference in their phenotype over here. Now let us do these little fill in the blanks. So if you can just read, if an individual inherits two tall alleles, then the person will be, if the person get two tall alleles, then the person will be tall with the genotype TT. Absolutely. On tall alleles, so here on the second one tall allele and one short allele, then the person will be, tall. Absolutely. And the genotype, a capital T and a small t. Now, two short alleles, then the person will be, both of them are short over here. So the person will be short and with the genotype TT. I hope we are clear till here. Now, let us now quickly go through whatever we have learned through the session. Let's revise it through answering these four different questions. We're going to answer them one by one. So we'll first together explain what is heredity, then why is asexual reproduction not ideal for variations, why is sexual reproduction ideal for variations, and what is gene, how does it work. This is by answering all these four questions together, we are going to revise whatever we have learned up till now. Let's do it together. So the first question, explain heredity. Transmission of characters from parent to offspring is known as heredity. Fertilized eggs or zygote carries heredity information. The zygote develops into a particular type of offspring only. Thus, eggs laid by a sparrow hatch into sparrow, and a dog reproduce to give birth to puppies only. Isn't it? Asexual reproduction involves a single parent and is hence not ideal for facilitating variations. Organisms raised are exact copies of their parents and are known as clones. Due to their identical set of chromosomes, they exhibit no or very little variations. These variations may be either due to some environmental factors like light, scarcity of food, abundance of food, temperature, etc., or due to small inaccuracies in DNA, right? Out of these two factors, only mutation are inheritable, but the quantum of variation would be too little and would take too many years to show effect. Okay. On the other hand, what happens in a sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is ideal for facilitating variations because two parents are involved in it, and there is formation of fusion of gametes due to crossing over the exchange of genes segments. Offspring show variations from their parents. They are not carbon copies of their parents. Due to the recombination of parental genes, variation occurs which are heritable. Gene is a small segment of DNA on a chromosome copying specific positions in a hereditary determination or unit of biological function. Genes are passed from parents to their offsprings via chromosomes present in the nuclei of the parent gametes. Genes function through the formation of specific proteins that are serve as a structure or functional component required for expression of character. What we have learned today. So we learned about chromosomes, what exactly chromosomes are, how chromosomes are passing of traits, and how these things are. So if we are passing the traits, we are moving forward the heredity. Now chromosomes are autosomes and there are sex chromosomes, right? Then the determination of sex of an organisms, by that means we had 23 pairs and one last pair determined the sex of the new offspring, that is going to be a male or it's going to be a female, isn't it? Now they were arranged in the format known as karyotype, isn't it? So if you could see the arrangement of those entire chromosome, that arrangement is known as karyotype. Now chromosomes have different genes into it, and because of the genes we have variations. We have somatic variation, we have chromatic variation. Now, genes have alleles, which some of them are dominant, some of them are recessive in nature. Some of them are homozygous and heterozygous in nature. And that is the genotypes that are also phenotypes. Genotypes are the one that are inside and the phenotypes are the one that you can resemble, right? The tall and the short, how the dominant and the non-dominant one combine, and it depends, and they have the phenotype resemblance, like the height or the eye color or how these things match to our parents, isn't it? So that's how the tall and the short one, the genes, we have to decide. They decide which is more dominant and or maybe which one is recessive, though. So it's like suppressed down, and the dominant one, they come up and they form the phenotypes, isn't it? So thank you everybody for joining the first session of the class today of this chapter. So until now, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe the channel, press the bell icon, and never miss on any update for the new session that will be coming soon. Thank you everybody for joining in.